What's up, everyone? Welcome to my corner of the internet. I'm your host, Ryan Kramer, and this is Crossover Commerce, presented by Ping Pong Payments, the leading global payments provider helping sellers keep more of their hard-earned money. Hello, everyone. Ryan Kramer with Crossover Commerce here. It's another lovely day here. Thanks for joining in on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook Live. We are going to keep going strong all the way through the holiday season. Today, we have another special guest. Yesterday was Sharon Evan of FBA Alphas. So if you tuned in for that, excellent show. But today, we're going to go a little bit different route. We're going to talk about a little bit about brand building and PR. So today, I actually have a very special guest and brought with me the president. I want to say founder, but I don't want to say founder because everyone's very particular about their titles, but president of prREACH, Shane Oglow. Shane, I'm going to bring you in here right now. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah. So was that right? Founder of prREACH?
Actually, no, I'm not the founder. I'm
That's why I didn't say it.
Yeah. I guess technically I'm the president. I don't think I usually say that either. It sounds like I'm the president,
But very higher end, kind of big wig kind of deal. Yeah, exactly. For people who don't know who you are, maybe kind of give us a background of you yourself, what you do, and then kind of what prREACH is known for.
Yeah. So I guess I've been around the Amazon space for a long time. A long time is a relative online space, but 2013, I guess I kind of got in with that. I'd call it the first wave boom, where people really started to discover, and FBA became a thing, and that was pretty cool. And I had a lot of early success. Ended up doing a lot of mentoring and coaching and all kinds of stuff over the years, as most people will go through that evolution, And as many people have, I still have my fingers in the Amazon pie, so to speak, as a seller, but as a lot of people do, you get into Amazon satellite businesses, whether you're providing software or coaching or whatever it is, supporting that Amazon industry. So that's what prREACH isn't that exactly. We do that. prREACH is actually the world's first video press release company. So we do press releases. We do all kinds of press releases, not just video anymore. But we slowly started to change and evolve into what I guess I'd call a vertically integrated communications company. So content, a syndication of that content, getting it out there in front of an audience, we've got some SEO tools, which we could talk about later. Some kind of like a SEO shortcuts, public relations, earned media, that type of thing. So it's not just for Amazon sellers, it's for anybody who has an online presence, really. And that's kind of where we're at right now with prREACH.
Gotcha. So is it just you, or do you have a team of people? You're located actually in Europe, correct? You're still over there.
Yeah. So I've got my partner Norm. We're co-owners. Right. Norm Farrar, who's very, we're both. I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but we're both very well known in the community because we've been around forever, right? I mean,
if you don't know Norm, you'll notice by his appearance of a really long beard. He has podcasts and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're either thinking it's like, oh my God, it's a biker, or it's ZZ Top. It's one of the. I'm not sure, but either way, it's kind of cool.
That's funny.
He's a great guy. He's got so much experience, and he's a great friend. He's a wonderful business partner, and in a way, he's a mentor too, because he's been doing so many different types of businesses, like since the '90s, like contract manufacturing and packaging, like just literally everything. The guy's done everything. So he's a great wealth of knowledge, and I really enjoy being partners with him.
Absolutely. And so how did you guys sync up? Was there like a mutual, just you found each other through the grapevine, or how did that work?
Well, we were across a dark, smoky room and our eyes locked. No, seriously, it was an event I was at. I think it might have been in Florida. That we were at, and we just started meeting. And I think we were both doing some type of a coaching thing as part of the event. It was probably like an ASM event, and we just got to talking. Of course, we're both Canadian, and so it means we're very, very nice.
Yeah, exactly.
And we just started talking, and one thing led to another. We didn't do anything right away. We stayed in touch, and I actually he invited me out to an event he had in Greece. And I went out there. Then afterwards we started talking about it. And he actually bought prREACH from a friend of ours, Rob Burns, who started it. And then he asked me to join him after a short period of time to partner with him on it. So.
Okay. So that natural alignment that you guys kept in touch with each other, but you yourself, you're located over there. I remember when we initially called a couple months back, you were talking about one of the smaller countries over there in Europe, and I was super fascinated by. Is that where you're still located at?
Yeah, Andorra. Yeah,
Andorra. That's right. Sorry, that's my fault for not coming up with with the country. So what led you there? I know I found it super fascinating. I think some of our listeners would be, if you don't know where would be the best geographical description of where Andorra is?
It's a tiny little country located in between France and Spain. So It's one of the 5 microstates of Europe. There's only about 70,000 people that live here. There's no airport. There's no trains. There's just 2 roads. One going to France, one going to Spain. It's the 17th smallest country in the world, but it's very interesting. It's kind of like a little bit hillbilly version of Monaco.
Okay.
So it's not as snobby and pretentious, but you'll see plenty of Lamborghinis and Ferraris driving around. But it's there's it used to be a tax haven, but now it's just considered a low tax zone. So there's there's an advantage there.
Right.
But the other interesting thing about Andorra is, I'm from the mountains, from Western Canada, and it's when I look outside, it's like I'm home. The country is basically one ski resort in the winter. It's it's lots of different. There's 5 ski resorts technically crammed in. There's no flat land in this country at all, so that's why there's no airport or anything.
Sure.
So it's just in these steep mountains. So it's a neat little place. It's the safest country in the world. There's a less than 1% crime rate. No shenanigans go on here. It's very kid safe and friendly. But at the same time, it's very rural. It's very clean. One of the fastest internets in the world. Like, you don't see garbage. There's no potholes in this country. It's like Walt Disney created a country and they called it Andorra. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Well, that's super unique. And like I said, I know a lot of people just find themselves in different countries that they never expected from. That sounds actually very peaceful and very, very wonderful. Like you said, it's very close to either France or Spain. So obviously you have the amenities of being over there. So do you find yourself able to doing a lot of is that something you just thought for business reasons or just more personal reasons, or it just kind of worked out one way or another?
Yeah, we just showed up here with 6 suitcases and a kid, and just said, well, I don't know, I'd never even been here before, right? So I had nowhere to stay, and we thought we'd try it out, just for a change. And as much as I just like there's just so living in Europe is just so interesting in so many ways, because everything, all these different cultures, language, all mushed together. And like for instance, my daughter, she goes to school. She deals in 5 languages every single day, and she's now practically fluent in 3 and really good at the other 2. That's an opportunity I can't give her in North America. Right. It's not going to happen. Yes, the super gifted kids, their parents, yeah, I guess it can happen, but it's not the norm by any means. But here it's normal. It's totally normal. And, Barcelona is only a 2.5 hour drive away. And I'm from Canada. That's like going to the store and getting milk, 2.5 hours.
That's right down the road, right?
So, and Toulouse is about 3 hours away. So it's not like, you can leave the safety of this rural, very quiet, safe place, and you're in Barcelona. You can fly anywhere. Obviously flights are cheap and short. Well, at least they were before this virus nonsense. But it's just an interesting place to be.
Do you? So I studied abroad when I was in college, and I would travel to Spain, France, Germany, Greece, and whatnot, and obviously travel for business reasons. Is there a particular place that you find? First off, do you go the EasyJet or Ryanair route, or do you do more, or do you do more of the hey, I'm actually gonna get there safely, and like I'm not gonna I'm not gonna chance it.
Yeah, I've flown those cheapo airlines occasionally here and there.
Sure.
Sometimes you can't get another flight, or there's just the timing, whatever you do it. And every time I sit there and I just swear to myself, I'm like, God,
I know. You're being sold to the entire. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it is a constant infomercial. I'm assuming it was at least 10 years ago. It was a constant infomercial of you're being sold and wheeled through carts of like goods that you just had no need for whatsoever. And people just buy and sell. Literally, it was like a market on the airline. And they would play music when you arrived. This, you have successfully landed at another Ryanair or EasyJet location, and we're like, "Is this not a natural thing? Like, it's a celebration that we're doing." Like, it was so bizarre and weird for me that would happen. So that's why I brought it up. It brought back nostalgia to that kind of thing. That's super cool. So Shane, you are away from like obviously being Europe, and we're not traveling a lot nowadays. What's kind of been that kind of shift in focus for you as a professional, as a company, because your job is to obviously connect people and build out messaging and whatnot. Do you feel like it's been easier since lockdown, or feel like it's been harder not connecting with people on a person to person or a networking event?
Yeah, it's been way harder, and I've had a lot of conversations. So I was doing a lot of events, either speaking or just attending at events all around Europe. And, every now and then I'll reach out to some friends in the UK or wherever they are, and I'll just say, you know what? You'd think with this lockdown, we'd be Skyping once a week or something, or chatting. We're not. We're not for some reason. Every now and then it's like I go months without talking to someone. And I'm not sure why that is, because we've all got this time. We're all stuck in our offices at home. Mm-hmm. It's made us. You'd think we'd be constantly trying to reach out, but it's not happening for some reason, and I'm not sure why. And a lot of people are saying the same thing. Mm-hmm. So it's time for this crap to be over and to move on.
Right. So do you? So as an agency, I call you guys an agency. I don't know if you technically consider yourself classify that. What's kind of the different vantage point that you're giving people? Because as an agency, you're trying to get notoriety, people to interact with the brand. I guess that's going into our topic, that why we brought you on today is because you guys are you're trying to create something lasting, right? Both on and off Amazon. Mm-hmm. We left it pretty vague for a reason, and just because of your expertise and going down all those rabbit holes. What's kind of, when you sent me, hey, this is what I think we can cover. What was the first thing that was coming to mind when you thought like, hey, people just don't understand what, with that vantage point, whether they just have one road that they want to go down and they're like, oh crap, I didn't realize I have to iterate and keep iterating. And all of a sudden I have to worry about all these different, roads that are coming to my brand and worry about it. So maybe talk us to like the high level that you were thinking, when we came on this topic.
Yeah. I think there's sort of two main thrusts here is I find that even really successful sellers that I know, are first-time business owners. They didn't go through any e-com stuff before this. They had no physical, they didn't own a store. They have no idea about advertising. Like they don't understand all those touch points you have to have. It's like, well, why do you think Coca-Cola still advertises? Everybody knows they're still number one. Why do they keep advertising? Well, because they need to. Like that's how they keep people in the forefront. And if you've had your own business before, you understand the importance of getting your name and your face, or your brand, or your logo, or whatever it is out there all the time. And I remember when Amazon started PPC, it was like, oh my God, PPC. And people were, squawking and complaining that, oh, my rankings drop if I don't do PPC. I'm like, yeah. So that's one thing. And then the next thing is something that I like to call the Amazon trap. Mm-hmm. And everybody falls prey to it for the most part. Well, I shouldn't say everybody, but most people do. Some people do it backwards. But is you start selling on Amazon, and hey, you start picking up steam. Great, you're making $10,000 a month, or 50, or 100, or whatever that number is for you. You're starting to feel okay, cool. Hey, got a nice revenue base coming in. Hopefully, you've got a decent profit margin. Lovely. Well, they try to make that decision that I think I need to diversify. So maybe they open up a Walmart or an eBay or a Shopify account, or they're working on some angles standing to physical retailer or whatever they're doing. So let's just take the example of a Shopify account. Okay, that's great. What happens? Nothing. Nothing happens. They may have 4 or 5, 6 orders a month. Who knows? Literally nothing, because it's a totally different game. Because now you're responsible for your own traffic, and that requires a different skill set. And if you are not a master of driving traffic from Facebook, Insta, Google, wherever ads, your ads, or you've got a huge social following and you can drive things over, okay, fine, that's going to help. But you need to have some brand presence to really drive that consistent traffic. And that's sort of what we're doing. And so what happens is people go to Shopify, they get a bunch of crickets, not much happens. Then after a few months, it's like, they sheepishly go back to Amazon. And who can blame them? Who? Because that's your bread and butter. Like, you have to put your attention where it deserves. So they go back to Amazon, and they're riding a two-legged stool, because this year especially, I know so many sellers who literally every week they've got products being suspended. Literally, I know guys who've got 13 account suspensions in 1 year. Mostly competitor attacks. Sometimes Amazon's AI saying, "Oh, your, wooden sunglasses you sell have been flagged as a face mask," or like some stupid Amazon thing. And
do you see that in one marketplace or multiple marketplaces? One particular over the other?
Well, I'm just saying Amazon.
Oh, just in general okay.
Yeah. And that's why, hey, you've got 5 employees or you rely on an income, or you've got 38 employees. That's a lot of eggs in one basket because literally you could be turned off tomorrow. And at the end of the day, if you've got an Amazon business, it's not your business, it's Amazon's business. You just happen to be making a bit of money off something you created there. You can be turned off at any moment with no chance of recourse or reinstatement, and they couldn't care less, because there's 1,000 people to fill your spot. So it's very, very dangerous, and you have to diversify just for diversification's sake. Okay. Then we start thinking, all right, so everybody recognizes that, there's a risk to only being on Amazon. And again, I love Amazon, just like everybody else has been around. We've got that same love-hate relationship with them. They're a giant beast with all these tentacles. Of course, it's an organization that big is going to have those tentacles.
Right.
So you need to pave the way to make that diversification happen. Again, you start a Shopify account, boy, you better be good at driving traffic, or that thing's going to take a long time to get spun up. So that's what we're doing, is we're keeping people at the top of the media cycle, on top of the news cycle, starting to get those touch points, get your brand in front of people, socially, you get everything going, and it will start to get up. And there's slow ways to do it, and there's fast ways. But at the end of the day, let's just take an example like Dr. Axe. Dr. Axe, the website?
I've heard of it. It sounds very familiar, but why don't you, for everyone who doesn't know, why don't you describe it?
It's like a website where you can get, like, hey, I've got a rash on my bum, and what is this? And it's,
like a WebMD or something. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And not that I have a rash on my bum.
We're clarifying this. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. And they spend years just putting out high quality content every single month, and they put out 10,000 word articles, even bigger articles, high quality content every single month. Just pump. It took them a while, but eventually they split up, and now they're this massive authority site. And of course it worked, because they're giving Google exactly what it wants. So it's going to work. It's just going to take some time. The problem is most sellers say, "Oh, yeah, I'll start a blog." That's a great idea. They're going to post once a month or something. You need to post more than that. But hey, even posting once a month is a good starting place.
Absolutely.
It's going to work. It's just going to take some time. So we shorten that process, and we just accelerate it. So we take your information and we can syndicate it. We can push it out across different distribution networks. Or on the PR earned media side is where we really accelerate things. And that's not for, if you're brand new to Amazon, you're making $2,000 a month, it's not for you. It's for when you're already have your reach is already going out into other marketplaces or platforms, or you're ready to make that that leap to start to become a real brand. And that's how you become a household name brand. And that's how you have that lasting authority. So you can start to get income diversified. You start to carry some brand weight with you, so you can charge higher prices. You'll have a higher conversion rate. You're going to increase your multiples. You're going to build a list of fans, blah, blah, blah. All those things that come with having that brand presence and that brand weight. So what the PR and earned media side does is we keep you at the top of the news of the media cycle. So we are putting you in gift guides, working with influencers, getting into magazines, websites, interviews, podcasts, radio, television, whatever. And it doesn't matter if you're we've tailored this for physical product sellers, a package specifically, because nobody's serving this market. Right. Because a traditional PR firm, they're going to charge 50 grand a month, 100 grand a month as a retainer, because it's mostly paid placements. Right. We scaled this way down, and we work on we're doing earned media, but we're not paying $80,000 a placement in Vogue magazine. We're getting it for free. We're hammering on those people. So what we did to do this is we ended up hiring a team that had their own agency for about 18 years. And they had been, in the PR game for 20 something years. And I mean, I'm not going to, lie. We hired them for the Rolodex.
Right.
That's it, right.
Well, that's what a lot of companies actually end up doing, is because if you're competing with people, most often than not you're acquiring because of, customer base and who they're already working with. So that's one way, obviously, to go about it. Sorry for the interruption. So
no, absolutely. Right. Yeah. And I mean, you can, because I've dealt with some PR firms before, and it's bloody expensive. Most small and medium-sized businesses just can't swing that. And even if they could, it's like, is the ROI really there? It's a big commitment, right?
Right.
Pony up $55K. So we basically, now there's really no media outlet in the United States, no major media outlet where we don't have a contact. You want to be in Forbes? Fine. You want to be in Shape magazine? Fine. Martha Stewart Living? You want to be TechCrunch, BuzzFeed, Wired? We have contacts at every single place now. So what we do is we take you. So whether you're a physical product seller, you're a service-based business, hey, it's Ping Pong Payments wants to become the number one payment processor known. Okay, that's what we do. You're a restaurant in, Omaha, fine. We just basically, we create the media profile. We help you create your corporate profile. We create that voice and that message, and we just start pitching to your media list. And that's where the secret is we're pitching to people we generally know, or they're reaching out to us. So every week we'll get requests. It's like, hey, do you guys have a product that would fit this description, or a service that would fit this, or an expert who can answer these questions? I've got an article coming out in, Authority magazine, or whatever it happens to be. Mm-hmm. And that's how we operate. And we guarantee placements every month. And you'd be hard pressed to find a PR firm that will give you guaranteed placements. And we can do it because we've got so many contacts. Gotcha. So that's basically what we're doing for any type of business, but for brands specifically. So just so I don't harp on this too much, but just so you have a clear understanding. Let's say you come to me and you're like, you know what? I want to be known as Ryan Kramer, the Amazon guy, or whatever your thing is. Okay, that's cool. And you've got your dream list. You want to be an entrepreneur. You want to be in Forbes, blah, 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 blah. Sure. If it's appropriate, we'll angle that and we'll start pitching. And eventually we'll probably get you into some, or if not all of those over time.
Sure.
For physical product brands, if you're selling, pet products, for example, we help you find that voice, what makes you a bit unique, your story, and whatever it is that will give you a unique angle. We don't focus as much on like you're not going to be in Forbes unless you've got a great story of how you became this business. Sure, maybe then, but if it's more about product based, we're going to focus less on those top tier or tier one media outlets, mm-hmm. and more on influencers, gift guides, trade shows, awards, strategic relationships. We'll focus more on those things, and we'll still hit your dream list, because a lot of sellers come and say, hey, this product, if I could get in Martha Stewart Living, that would be their dream, right?
My wife would love me.
there you go, right? And we can do that, but you got to understand, if you want to be in a magazine like Martha Stewart Living, they're 6 months out with their planning for their catalog. So if you came to us, like, maybe we could get you in there by the end of the spring. Sure, we'll work on that. But in the meantime, we'll work on smaller placements and build up. So that's the thing with the PR earned media is the first month we're gathering, we're getting all the information, we're spinning up, we start reaching out, we start pitching, and month 2, month 3, month 4, we get better and better and better and better placements. So by the time you're 6 months, a year, 2, 3 years in, you are really getting great placements, and you're always at the top of the media cycle. And most places will make you sign a 1-year contract. We actually have a 3-month, which is a bit risky for us.
Sure.
4, 6 months is what we do because we know we can get the placements. And this is the other one last interesting thing, and I'll shut up. It's
well, that's why you're on here, is to talk about this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, then I'll just keep going.
Oh yeah.
But the average client, like the retention, not the retention rate, but the retention period of time of the agency that we brought on was 7 to 9 years. So It's not like people come over and they try it for 6 months. The results are there. The ROI is there. Like 10 times ROI is completely normal in this business, because how many placements does it take in, Wired or TechCrunch or Martha Stewart or so-and-so influencer's gift guide that, kills it every holiday season, to really make that worth it. So we feel very confident that we can offer that shorter period of time for people, and they're going to see that value as things start to spin up. But like anything, it just takes that bit of time. And the nice thing with earned media and PR is it doesn't go away. I mean, you offer a special or ads, they go away the second you turn off the spending, right? These links stay there forever. And being a PR agency, we're going to encourage you to just squeeze every drop of juice out of them. Do press releases on them, put them in your social, put them in your newsletter. I mean, you name it, you just squeeze it. If you got that exposure, blast it out everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of things that I personally take from this. And again, for everyone who's joining live on LinkedIn, we see everyone who's on here. So if you have a question or something that is interesting from Shane's point of view or my point of view, please ask those questions below, and we will see those instantaneously. Obviously, if this is consumed later at a different time, we will make sure that you have contact information for Shane or myself, obviously, to ask further questions. But for currently right now, my question is, there's a lot to take from that. The benefits in my mind outweigh, obviously, the cons. My question to you is, when as an Amazon seller, which I'm not, if I'm coming from that point of view, at what point do I need to start thinking, you know what, I have something here. I think this can be a little bit bigger and a little bit better, and I need to start making that growth happen. At what point do people need to start having those conversations with you as an agency or a PR agency, specifically for like Amazon purposes and e-commerce purposes? What's that point that you say like, hey, this is a sweet spot, or hey, maybe you're not there yet. Like, you have to be honest with people and say like, we can't really do too much for you because you're not there yet. What's that fine line for you guys?
Yeah, and I think that's a pretty common question people have. And it really comes down to, I think, when you feel you have that solid base on Amazon, like if you're building and you're just scraping by each month, don't do it yet. Like wait until you feel comfortable. But as soon as you're like, okay, I think I got this Amazon game dialed in, we're doing $75K a month in revenue. Let's start to look to expand it into other platforms and to build our brand presence. Now, you don't have to instantly expand off of Amazon to take advantage of this. We can drive every link back to your Amazon page, and Amazon's going to love it, especially now with the A10 algorithm update. They put a lot more weight on external sales in those backlinks coming in, and they took the weight off PPC. So it's more valuable than ever. But at some point in the future, okay, let's say you're driving back to Amazon, wonderful. You can set up your Shopify account, your Walmart, whatever. You can try to get into physical retail. Then we can start to divert those links over there, and you'll have instant traffic. So you're kind of paving the way before you do it. But like a lot of people are saying, okay, am I ready? That's only a question you can answer. You have a little bit of extra revenue that you can direct towards this, and you want to separate your brand from the million other nameless, faceless Amazon brands that will only exist in the Amazon ecosystem. And this is how you put that competitive buffer between you and them, by building a brand. And we can see it. I mean, you can type in silicone spatula into Amazon, and you're going to see brands like OXO or Deoro or whatever, and they're going to be $12.99, and you'll see a competitor exact same product, maybe even from the same factory, $9.99, and maybe they're offering 3 of them, and that's the power of a brand. They've got 300 BSR, the other guys have 30,000 BSR. It's a better deal. Why are they going with the OXO or Doro? Well, it's that brand presence and that brand
right
they carry with them.
And I think to that point, I think there's a lot of cool and unique things that Amazon has come out with to help distinguish the difference between obviously a 1P seller versus a 3P seller. But the difference between the both is, like you said, a brand name recognition. It might be the same product because that company could be selling to third-party sellers. But what's the difference is it's that brand. I want to dive more into that, kind of like what you think like Amazon has kind of maybe like help sellers out and like been kind of able to support that brand building process. But we actually had a question from LinkedIn. It is, what branding strategy would you, again, thank you, Sadush, from asking this question. What branding strategy would you suggest to a YouTube-based content creation company? Does that make sense to you, Shane?
So I guess the question is, you're talking about promoting your company. Yeah, not a product through YouTube. Would that be correct?
I'm going to let's go one way. And if Sadush is still on with us, obviously maybe a little more clarification. Let's just assume that this would be promoting, your company and brand through YouTube.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it. Again, it doesn't matter the platform that we're directing the links to. So if we start to get placements all over the web, media, wherever that are relevant, we can drive those anywhere, whether they're driving them to a YouTube channel, to Amazon, to a Shopify store, it doesn't matter. So I think, yeah, if that's what it means, then it doesn't matter where you're directing those links to. And, we've got here we are talking mostly about, kind of the Amazon world.
Right.
We've got plenty of clients like restaurant chains, service-based business, people who want to become up and coming influencers in their space and known as like guru in their niche. We do all kinds of promotion, and we just target the appropriate media for those people and those sort of services.
Awesome. I mean, that makes sense too, because like obviously brands, I think this is also with the pandemic, it's kind of like even broken up in this niche a little bit more probably for you guys, is because a lot of people, if they were just traditional brick and mortar, they just couldn't obviously operate just alone from the foot traffic. So then they obviously iterated to online, and maybe they have a great offline brand presence, but not so much traditional online. With you guys, you're touting obviously, hey, let's marry the two. Let's marry both what people think about you, as a traditional brand online. Let's take that and replicate that almost on an online presence, but make it wider known across the world. And so that's where a value of a PR agency like that comes in, if you want to take that and run.
Yeah, and I think I even remember when I started selling. I was selling these little electronic products all those years ago, and you'd see your competitors, and it's like, how are they getting into these gift guides? How did they get a feature in this magazine? What the heck's going on? Well, they had a PR pro in their corner, pumping this every single month, pump. And that's how they exploded and became these huge brands. So the benefits over time are, and that's the difference. Do you want to become, I'm not saying we're going to make you a household brand in 2 years. It honestly, it's going to depend on your product too.
Right.
But that's the route. That's how you get there to becoming that household brand name. And it makes the entrance into other platforms. Let's say you want to get into Costco or physical store shelves on, Walmart or Lowe's Hardware. I've been to these events. I'd go to Chicago every year, and you'd be pitching your product to different retailers. You'd have these appointments set up. Man, is it a lot easier when you got some brand weight behind you. You got a professional spec sheets. Yeah. That's the way to build a real brand, increase those multiples. So even if you want to exit, you've got a 5-year exit plan, or that's how you build that weight and that authority.
Right. And I can speak on that a little bit, because my background, for those who don't know, I used to work for a company that was a manufacturer and distributor of like 10,000 SKUs. So it's home gift garden companies that had very much tout offline brand. But my job was to obviously work with like online brands. In this space, it was like garden flags, garden gnomes, and you see those products everywhere. They're in Best Buy, they're on Wayfair, Zulily, they're in, Pier 1, they're in all these different retailers. But when you translate that online, and I said, hey, we have all these brands and items that are sold in these retails, my job was actually have to go to like a Rakuten or a deal site or a blog site that had all these followers, and they'd be like, but no one knows who you are. Like we work with like a Macy's who actually has a brand recognition. So there's a complete disconnect if our online brand doesn't match your offline brand, which is completely difficult to do when you're serving so many different audiences, right? But if you can marry the two together, I think that's where your work you're not working as hard, in my mind. And then obviously you can get in the door with like a bigger name, like you said, Shane. Like those connections become easier to be had, and work together. I guess my question for you is, what's now that Amazon's coming out with almost like a lot more features, I'm going to say, on their marketplaces. I want specifically comes to mind Amazon Live, almost like a QVC, if you will, video ads. I would say brand registries. Obviously, when you're searching in the keyword or you're searching in the search bar, more brands are starting to become popping up more and more and more. What's kind of your take on what Amazon is doing in that kind of light?
Yeah, and I think Amazon has signaled quite clearly that they want to start creating communities within Amazon, and that's a new space. Now, they have tried a few different programs over the years. None of them have been particularly successful up until now. But yes, Amazon Live, it's been out for a few years. I think it must have been 4 years ago. Actually, I was in the beta group for that. And that's very powerful. So we're actually doing video too. We don't have it live on our site yet because we're still working with our videographers and providing all different types of video from live. Like we'll have kitchen set up, and if you've got a cooking brand, we can do things there. Different sort of studio sets just to sponsored ad videos, product demo videos, marketplace videos, that type of stuff. But the other thing that we've been doing very, very well with is Amazon Posts. And we actually started a sister company. And you may or may not know Paul Barron. He's a good friend of mine.
Friend of the show, Paul. Yeah, Paul actually came on and gave us a run through of ManyChat and whatnot. Yeah.
He's a chat market guy. He started CMU, the Chat Marketing University. And he's more than that. That's what he's known for, of course. And,
right.
We were chatting last year, and it was like, we should really do something. So this year we finally did, and we've kind of sort of soft launched it. Yes, no, maybe, but we started a business called The Chat Agency, and what that is we've got a patent pending process where we create this massive network of it's called the Nano Influencer Framework. So these massive amounts of nano influencers and brand ambassadors who are constantly talking about and promoting your product. We also have some things where we do some Amazon ranking maintenance, and they are holistically integrated, even though you can consider them separate products, but they are also integrated. And that's important too, because with this program, like I think in the last 3 months, he's gotten 6,000 images and videos or something for free, like from this network, because it's so developed. And so it feeds the Amazon Posts feeds, never mind his social feeds. He never runs out of material and content. And the more you can post on Amazon Posts, Amazon Live, again, you're starting to build that community. And I'm sure there's going to be some changes coming up soon. Amazon's got some new things up their sleeve. But I really think that's the way to go. And again, it's all about building a brand, that recognition, all those touch points, people seeing it come up. So, we put people in editorial recommendations, for example. We're a peer company, so we can get you placed in editorial recommendations. We can get, your Amazon Post feed full. We can get, the external Amazon stuff. So you're showing up in, Google searches and, again, media, websites, news. So we can really cover the entire media spectrum, to be honest. And there's something else I was going to mention about that. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I'll probably remember in a minute. But yeah, it's so expansive. And I think the thing that's important here is you don't have to do it all at once. Like right. you don't, if you're just, hey, you're feeling comfortable on Amazon, you're thinking of branching out. And the webinar that we did together, which isn't live yet, is kind of what I call the stage one. and it's kind of what we call brand builder. It's an SEO shortcut. What we're doing is we're just creating a whole bunch of content every month, high quality content, written blogs, press releases, videos, all this stuff, and we blast it out through our distribution network. And we're getting people page one Google placements literally overnight. Now, it's not your website.
Right.
It's not your direct to Amazon link, because if I could do that, I'd be a gazillionaire, and you and I wouldn't be talking right now. I'd be in a different social circle.
Different situation. Exactly.
Yeah. But what it is, maybe I'll get a Yahoo article there, or a partner will be able to post that. A partner picks up one of our blogs or whatever. So it's an SEO shortcut to get you page one exposure when you really have no business being there. And over time, like any SEO tool, we will get that direct to Amazon link or your Shopify page, your website, whatever, to start ranking better and better. So that's kind of what I encourage people to, it's a little bit cheaper too than going full public relations. That's a nice way to start, softening up the market, because you're starting to get some Google ranking. You will start to get some traffic from that. You will start to get some authority. And that's the whole point. And then when you're ready, boom, you do full PR. You've got your external assets. You can drive traffic wherever you want. Because most people at the end of the day would rather do the bulk of their sales through Shopify. It's cheaper for you. You don't have to worry about account suspensions with your language and competitors. You can build your own funnels, and you can do all kinds of stuff you can't do on Amazon, right? So, but it's important to have that strong Amazon presence, and as well. Like I guess what a lot of people say is, oh my gosh, should I even be on Amazon at all? Yes. I'm not saying don't, keep pushing it, push as hard as far as you can. Just don't have all your eggs in that one basket. Make sure you've got some diversification, but it just takes a while to do. It doesn't happen overnight. Right. It's not a snap of the fingers thing.
Right. It's just like being everywhere as much as you possibly can. Again, brand recognition. And I want to say, you want to be in good places. Like, you obviously don't want to get like bad media. I mean, maybe from your perspective, not all media is good media, clearly. But here, I do have a question, since obviously it's kind of evolved in the last couple of years in terms of like how people are placements, what Amazon sees as more friendly to a brand or ranking, or, listing optimization. What's prREACH's take on influencers? And maybe you can dive into, I say influencers, that's more like on social media, on blog content creation, people that have a following, and maybe you can kind of dive into how you as an agency are interacting, and then how brands should proceed with working with influencers.
Yeah, I mean, the influencer space is huge, as we know. I don't know how many $1 trillion market it is now, but so again, kind of plugging the chat agency. It's thechatagency.com. That's really what they do. But on the public relations earned media side, we also work with influencers. So, for example, our PR team did a big promotion at a large trade show, and we ended up getting an NFL player to come in and be at the booth and sign autographs and take selfies and stuff. Influencer. We work with sometimes mommy bloggers and all different kinds as part of our, especially with the product placement PR. I mean, if you're the largest insurance broker in the state of Texas, well, we're not going to be putting you with mommy bloggers, right? But to get your product out in front of people, we are. And I think it's a very important aspect, but it's bloody hard for most people. And I know I went through a lot of years of pain. You're going on IntelliFluence or Thomason or whatever these influencer platforms are. And it's hard to find a really good influencer. And some of them charge crazy prices. You see, they've got a lot of followers. Their engagement rate is I've been burned so many times. I've paid for gift guides. I've done so many things, and I literally got not a darn thing in return for it. Now, I know some people had some great success doing it,
right?
But I spent so much time trying to find people, trying to vet them. Half my emails would go unanswered. I just maybe 80 or 90% of my emails would go unanswered. I don't know. I don't even remember anymore. I try to build these stupid long spreadsheets. It's a pain in the butt. And that's why the nano influencer framework of the chat agency is we've got this patent pending system where we've got the system to reach out to build this influencer network. But doing it on your own is hard. But I don't think it's necessary to build your brand. but it sure helps if you can get some good influencers on your side that doesn't cost you an arm and a leg.
Right. So when you say good influencers, obviously, do you consider YouTube lumped in with that? Because I know obviously for Amazon sellers and kind of brand builders in space, there's a lot of how-tos, how to sell, how to do this, how to do that. I myself, obviously, we're trying to like gain visibility by education and whatnot. Is education separate than you think from all of that, or is it part of that equation?
I would lump it in with that. I really would. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think YouTube's a great platform. I mean, and some people are do very, very well, as you know, on YouTube in terms of that space you're talking about. I think. I mean, think about if you're going to buy a new technology device or camera. What's the first thing you do, right?
Right.
You go and you look at the reviews and you look at the infos. You want to see someone hold it. How does it work? And there's a lot of really cool channels out there doing this kind of stuff, and they become known and trusted. And I guess that's the thing with public relations, how it's different is it's taking it to the X degree. You know, you start marketing, then you start advertising, then you start doing things like putting out blogs or press releases or whatever, great content, wonderful. Then you elevate yourself. It's the holy grail, and that's public relations. It's a third party now talking about you. It's totally different than you talking about you. It's a third party, and it's a trusted third party, and that's when your brand can explode.
Gotcha. So when you say trusted third party, what should people, if they're doing this on their own, they don't have you obviously in their corner, what's something that you consider a trusted third party? Because obviously there's just so many things out there. People just don't understand. Like my perception, if I can kind of answer my own question maybe, and then you can iterate from it. My trusted third party would be, hey, they've done it. There's a lot of track record. There's a lot of other notable brands maybe working with these people. They're not just taking, there's a clear KPIs or, metrics that they are going to make for your brand before they take money to promote it. Or, obviously if they're just taking the good itself and they just want views, obviously that's the best case in free publicity. But what would you consider trusted?
Well, first of all, if they're not using me, then you're going to fail miserably.
Of course.
Yeah,
of course.
I think it really comes down to perception. Let's say you're a follower on BuzzFeed or something.
Sure. Yep.
And they do reviews, and for you that's it. Hey, that's your main. You look at 2 or 3 sites. That's number 1 or 2 on the list. Boom. That's trusted. That's authority. And the same. You get in the Wall Street Journal. You're in Martha Stewart. You're in Fitness Magazine. Whatever. That's a trusted source. So that just comes with its own credentials. Boom. Carte blanche. Now, if you're talking about an influencer, I guess you really need to look at the metrics. And here's where people usually go wrong. The influencer search list can be so exhausting sometimes because you find all these beautiful, oh my gosh, this looks great, this looks great, looks great. And you find it's, $6,500 a placement or something. It's like, oh.
It's a lot. For those who have not dived into it, even for brands like Ping Pong, it's a lot to work with influencers.
Yeah, it really is. And so you start to throw those ones out and you get lower and lower and more shallow in the pool. And you end up going with an influencer that you can afford. And the audience is, maybe they're your niche market. Some will be. And you get very diluted results. So that's why a lot of people have gone more on the nano influencer network. Hey, it's a mommy blog. She's only got 1,200 followers, but they're super engaged and they're very interested in your product, and it's not expensive. Now, if you can add 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, 200 of those, well, now you're cooking. And it's better to go with one of those than someone who's got a 500,000 list that it's watered down. It's just generally not as effective. Now, if you can go out and get, J-Lo or someone, or I don't know, I'm kind of old, so I'm out of touch with.
Good for you. Good for you if you can land J-Lo.
It's going to cost you some dough, and you'll probably get a massive sales. But I had a friend actually in Spain, a very good friend of mine, Vic. He lives now in Barcelona. Wonderful guy. He's got a wonderful brand, and this happened to him twice. But he messaged me about 3 weeks ago, And he says, "Oh, I got a big problem." I said, "What's going on?" He's a big seller. Like I don't know how much he does, but I'd be surprised if it was less than 10 million a year. But he does pretty well. He goes, one of our videos went viral on TikTok again. I'm like, "Oh, is that good?" He goes, "Well, the problem is we sold through 4 months of inventory. This is his Christmas inventory, so it was super heavy, in 6 hours."
Oh my God.
I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of units that was, but he got this TikTok video went viral, got 30 million views, and he was wiped out for the holidays. So he was on the phone with his supplier in Asia and flying stuff in as fast as he could. But again, that wasn't that TikTok person. I don't know how big their following was. It probably wasn't. It's certainly no one I would know. Let me tell you. But their video went viral. So you can get those one-off hits. But if you want to build a brand, I mean, that's not the way to build a brand.
Right. But that's great for sales, obviously, fantastic. But that's not the way to go about it. What would you? So going off of that. You're kind of like monitoring trends, right? You have to kind of be ahead of the game, see where you can get people and establish those connections. What's that new thing that you as an agency are monitoring? Because like it could potentially be something that obviously, right? The whole in media in general, people are like, these are the major milestones, right? It was television, or it was radio, television, social media, and then what's the kind of that next major thing that you think would be around the corner?
Well, in terms of platforms, I don't know. I mean, I think I looked at a list the other day, and it was like the top 20 like messaging social platforms in the world. The first 12, I don't even think I'd heard of, because they're probably India-based or China-based for the most part.
User base would more likely be obviously where populations are huge.
Yeah. But I really feel that, hey, some of those might end up being more popular, sure, especially as we've seen the development of platforms like, Pinterest over the last 5, 6, 7 years, or Instagram. Facebook has evolved so much. And Facebook is kind of tired out in some ways. It's still a great revenue source. I'm not saying, but it's an old thing, comparatively, right? But I still think that influencers is an up and coming space. I don't think it's going to decrease. It's only going to increase, especially as I hate saying this stupid new normal, because I don't believe it, and I don't want that agenda pushed on me, and I don't want to get political. But we have to face facts that even for the interim, things are going to be different, whether we like it or not. We're forced into it, and I don't like that. So I shouldn't have been a Canadian. I should have been a Texan. I'm telling you, but because people aren't going to be traveling as much, people aren't going to be doing, even if tomorrow they say, "Oh, it's all clear, everything's okay," people are still going to be very tentative, and it's a crying shame. What's happened to small businesses? It breaks my heart. So many small businesses, and that retail traffic is gone and might not be coming back. So I really do feel that influencers are still going to be a major thing and on the rise, because people are going to be doing the shopping from home. They're going to be home based a little bit more, and I don't think that's going to change as much as I'd like it to in the next year or two. I think that's going to be a slow coming out of our shell type thing.
Sure, I mean that makes sense. So I know we're kind of coming up on the hour that we typically try to obviously. I don't know what your time is like. You're a busy man, so, and obviously on a different time zone. What's kind of maybe to kind of go into what 2021, I guess you can say, what's kind of the focus up here? Reach is trying to really hammer home to people. Obviously 2020 is really close to being done. We hope it's done for a lot of reasons. 2021 is more optimism, is what I like to hear from a lot of e-commerce, Amazon sellers in general. There's so many things going on, iterations. Where are you really what are you excited about from a professional level?
Yeah, it's a good point. And I think too, even 2020, I know it's been horrible for a lot of people on many levels. And it's weird because it's not just the COVID thing. It seems a lot of people I know went through a lot of personal challenges. For some reason, it seemed all kind of compressed into 2020. Maybe that's just me, but you try to keep your chin up and you try and look at the bright side, and there are always opportunities, always. And a lot of people did very, very well, obviously, this year, because if you're in the online space, that's great. If you had a mom and pop store, then that didn't work out so well. But going forward into 2021, I think we're going to go back to what I was originally talking about, where this has been an extraordinary year for account suspensions, red tape on Amazon. Even experienced sellers I know, I was chatting with Carlos Alvarez recently, and he said, geez, I've been doing this forever, and it's becoming a pain in the butt to keep my Amazon seller account up. There's so much red tape. I've done this 100 times. It's never been so difficult. And I agree. And again, I'm not trying to discourage people from Amazon. It's still a wonderful opportunity, but there's more red tape. There's more technicalities. There's more regulation. And the account suspensions have, in my world, from the people I know, gone way up. So that's why it's about, okay, don't leave the Amazon game. Let's start to build your brand, and you start to build some authority, and you just do it slow and methodically. Build your brand and authority, start getting outside traffic. Hey, even if you got your own webpage, you can just buy now on Amazon, divert them over to Amazon, or give people the choice. You're still going to collect some names, right? Start building a list, but start to build that presence. And then when you're ready, start to then divert traffic to wherever it is, and get some equilibrium in your business, and don't just rely, because I've seen people's lives ruined when their business is taken down, and sometimes it's for no good reason at all, and it's frustrating and it's heartbreaking. But that's what happens when you got all your eggs in that one basket.
Right. We had seller and Amazon educator Sharon Evan on yesterday, and we were talking about Sharon actually during, and if you follow her on our Facebook group, she actually was really transparent. She had 4 or 5 or 3 or 4 of her major selling products all suspended right before on Prime Day, and they were for reasons that were just not heard of. It was from a flat file upload from her Canadian store that wasn't internal. It was an internal reason. They just couldn't figure it out. But there's a lot of same brands and sellers in that space that it happened to. So they're obviously they're missing out on, she said, probably easily $50,000 worth of revenue. And that's just gone because of an issue that was not her fault. She did everything right. She did all the research. She contacted Amazon, and just by happenstance, that's where a lot of her revenue just comes from. And she's not on, her own e-commerce website or anything like that. That's the problem with just putting all your eggs in one basket, like you said. But she figured it out, obviously. But it's just things like that you don't want to have to live through. If that's, if you can diversify, I think everyone is right. Don't just rely heavily on Amazon. Either grow internationally so you have multiple different ways to make revenue, or build out your own brand with obviously the help of companies like prREACH. So Shane, I know we're coming up on time. What is the best way for people to get in touch with you? If this was intriguing enough, they want to obviously hear more. What's the best way to get in touch with you or someone from your team?
Yeah, I think just email me, Shane@prreach.com.
Okay.
prREACH, those 2 R's there. People go, is it prREACH? No,
and
it's
we
not
have
prREACH.
and we have the email below here in the ticker. So
that's a bit. Or just come by and visit me. Just knock on the door. That's cool too.
No one else is there, right?
So. But yeah, just Shane@prreach.com, or just go to our site and then just do the contact us. But I'd love to chat with anyone who's interested in building some authority and elevating their brand.
Yeah, well, obviously. And I know we're working on some projects together for other international markets. So exciting stuff coming down the road for obviously people who are fans of ping pong, obviously fans of prREACH. Stay tuned. You have a lot in your, you're working on, I know, behind the scenes. So that's exciting stuff. I know I have personal questions just here and there of things that are picking my, coming up in my mind, obviously learning more, but awesome to talk with you today. There's so much information. I know we'd love to kind of get your thoughts on a holiday recap maybe of things that you saw just in general, but I consider every one of my guests friends of the show. So a friend of the Crossover Commerce. So anytime, we'd love to have you on to talk PR and kind of gain that perspective obviously from here. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Ryan.
Obviously. And thank you everyone for joining us live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. This is Crossover Commerce. I'm your host, Ryan Kramer. Join us tomorrow. We'll have more information here live on our social media channels, kind of obviously how we can finish 2020 strong, right? So that's what we'll be talking with tomorrow. But everyone be safe out there, and we'll talk soon.